Hello, and welcome to the first of many video lectures for your AP World History class. And we're going to go ahead and start at the very beginning, and that is Chapter 1, Prehistory. In this first section, we're going to be looking at the Paleolithic period. Now, one thing you're going to notice that in your textbook and throughout the class, you'll be using the terminology of BCE and CE to divide the time period they see here, right? Before zero and after zero. And basically, it's the same idea of BC and AD, which is a much more common one. But in history classes, we prefer to use the BCE and CE term, just to let you know. All right, so we're going to start with the Paleolithic period, which is also known as the Stone Age, the Old Stone Age. And we know that this is, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And many times when we imagine cavemen, this is the type of people, humans that we are imagining. And what allowed them to survive in the wild and to thrive and to eventually evolve over the course of millions of years is environmental adaptation. And humans, with our brains, have designed technology since our earliest ancestors that basically allowed them to survive and hunt and eat. And but it starts with the simple, stone tools. So something like a hand axe that you'd see here. This would have been used to chop wood. It could have been used to scrape meat and off of bones from an animal, right? So you get every last little strip of meat from an animal. The spearhead, which would have been used, of course, to hunt. Needles, that you see down here. That would have been used for sewing clothing. Nets, which is fishing, and rafts, of course, for sailing. Now, one of the first tools that was ever used was, of course, fire. And humans used fire to protect, against the environment, to protect against animals, wild animals, and probably most importantly, also help them get more nutrients because if you cook meat, it is easier to digest than if you eat it raw, and therefore your body can absorb more of the nutrients from the cooked meat. So throughout the entire world, we see these developments of tools, and wherever humans migrated to, they took those tools and allowed them to survive in different environments, different climates. So whether humans went to areas of the tropics or they went to the cold parts of the tundra, humans were able to use tools to make it possible to live there. And wherever they went, they would adapt to the environment, right? So if you lived here, like in the cold parts of North America, hunting down a woolly mammoth, you would have adapted your tools, your clothing, even your homes to survive in this cold environment. Now, one of the first assistants in the survival process is, of course, the dog, which is domesticated from the wolf. So originally, all there was the wolf, right? You see here, and humans began to domesticate, meaning they bring them into their homes, they feed them, they take care of them, they raise them, and over generation after generation, we start seeing variations of different dogs, right? And that's what we call the dog species, the dog breeds that we now know of. But these early dogs, right, that look very much like a wolf, they would have helped in hunting, they would have helped in protecting and guarding, and therefore they would have been very useful to keep around. So here we see the beginning of the movement of humanity across the world, right? The migrations of the Homo sapiens. And they all originate from here, right? This is in East Africa. And over thousands and thousands and thousands of years, they will begin to migrate, right, to the Middle East or to Europe or to Asia, India, China. And the very last places that we will go to would be all the way around here, which is Australia and Oceania, islands of the Pacific, including Hawaii over here. And then also you have humans who migrated into the Americas, right? Now, how is these migrations possible, or why were they moving in the first place? With the tools that they developed back here, back in Africa, human population started growing. And because humans need these hunter-gatherers need a lot of land in order to gather enough food and hunt enough animals to survive, they slowly were forced to move elsewhere to find these resources. So you see them started down here and to slowly make their way. So they're being pushed basically off the land to find somewhere else to survive. Now, of course, when we look at the migrations that took place into the Americas, across different parts of the Pacific Ocean, and also Japan, it is important to note that this was made possible because of the ice age. If you recall in your science classes, last time Earth had an ice age, the sea levels had dropped really low. So therefore, a lot of the ocean that's now separating these land continents or these land masses would have been very easy to cross with simple boats, simple rafts, and not just literally walk across. So those first humans that walked across North America or walked across, into the Pacific Islands, they literally were able to walk. And of course, this was not, a very fast pace. They would migrate very slowly over thousands of years. All right. So again, here we see another map of the human migrations across the world. Now, one important thing that we're going to mention throughout the year is the idea of something called Afro-Eurasia. All right, Afro-Eurasia, which, as you can imagine, is Africa, Europe, and the Asian continent, the rest of Asia. And basically, what happens is at the end of the Ice Age, the humans that are here in the Americas, they cross along the land bridge, they're going to become isolated from the humans who stayed back here, back in Afro-Eurasia. And that will stay true for thousands and thousands and thousands of years until essentially 1492, the discovery of the New World, right, with Columbus. So Afro-Eurasia, we're going to see that the human societies developed here are going to have a lot of interaction. They're going to deal with each other. While the ones that develop here, they're going to be pretty much isolated from the rest of the world. And also important to note that these migrants, the ones who cross into the Americas, they are, of course, the ancestors of modern day Native Americans. All right, so that's it for part one. See you in part two.